Hello, everyone, and welcome to League Review. I'm your host, William, and today we are talking the LCK. I forgot to put that slide in. That slide always escapes me, the title slide. But today we are going to be talking about the LCK and how Week 1 went, and we have a little bit of a new style of podcast that I'm going to be trying. It might not work as well. I'm going to try it anyway, but it might not work as well on the solo podcast. But I do expect it to work very well on the group podcast. So instead of the match history section, which comes after the recap, we're going to get rid of the match history section altogether and kind of make it a more of a free flow talking about certain topics of how things have gone in the league that week. And instead of that, we'll bake in the match history a little bit into the power rankings. But anyway, without further ado, our picks this week actually went 7-3. Wasn't terrible. T1 really burned me. They were my first two games. And I want to give a big shout out to DragonX. I was cheering for you the whole way. There is nothing worse. I will tell you from experience, there is absolutely nothing worse than watching a very intense game. I believe the last game was like 50 minutes or so. But watching a 50-minute game 3 and cheering and your team wins, you're like, yes, good job. And then you realize you picked the other team. I was cheering for Dragon X the whole way through, and I'm like, shit. I picked Sandbox. Whoops. It feels great when it's the opposite way, when you're like, oh man, I lost. Like, if Sandbox would have won, I'm like, damn, I lost. Kingdom completely blew that game. And then I realized I won. I'm like, oh, sweet, this is good. But no, I lost that one, even though I was really excited that I was like, okay, I'm probably going 8-2 this week. That's a very good start. But no, 7-3 is still not bad. 70%, I will take it. All right, let's that's pretty much all. The games went somewhat according to plan. A little sloppy. We will talk about that in a bit with Korea. It was quite sloppy, more than we expected. But the prediction overview so far, week 1, 7-3, simple as that. And now we'll talk on to today's topics, which, whoopsies, I wasn't supposed to have that up. That's fine. That's all just me and Ryan's conversation. But this was supposed to be up. I completely forgot I had Discord there. Sorry, Ryan. But I don't think there's anything bad there. That was all league talk from watching Monday Night League and stuff like that. But anyway, Africa is number 1 with Genji and DragonX at 2-0, 2-0, 2-0. I think we kind of expected that. We got Damwon, Sandbox, Hanwha Life, and T1. I was going to say Team Liquid. I don't want to talk about Team Liquid right now. The Monday Night League just ended, or at least the first game just ended. Yeah, there's a reason why I'm wearing a Tiger hat instead of a Team Liquid hat right now. They're going to get a big chewing out from me on tomorrow's podcast. But yeah, SKT, or formerly SKT, T1 is at 1-1. And KT, APK, and Griffin are all 0-2. So that's how the standings pulled out after this week. But for the most part, I want to talk about, for today's topic, is kind of the Korean meta. It's a little bit, I want to say it's slow-ish. Let's see. I have stats here over on goal.gg, but I have champion stats here. Let me see if I can get a team. Let's go tournament. Let's just go tournament stats. LCK 2020 is right there. Okay. So what's the average game time? Did it have it right there? Yeah, the longest game was 51 minutes. The shortest game was 22 minutes. That's APK. Now let me tell you, APK does not look good. But for the most part, I believe the average game time is really, really slow right now. It is currently 35 minutes, which is similar to the LCS, but to be honest, LCK looked just as sloppy as LCS for some of the games. They actually improved later on in the week, but like the first few games, like Damwon versus SK was not a clean series whatsoever. T1. It's gonna take me forever not to call them SKT. You're gonna have to bear with that. I'm sorry, but T1 won that series, but it was sloppy, and it was mostly on the back of Damwon throwing. But so, like, there's been a lot of rough games to watch, which I usually expect higher quality. And me and Ryan were discussing, we were wondering, Is that because the LCK is trying a new style of League of Legends, where they're maybe trying to transition into an LPL style, like a more fast pace? But I don't think that's true, and they're just like not doing it successfully. I just don't think that's true. I think you might have some teams like Damwon play very fast still, and Sandbox. Sandbox tries to play very fast, but Sandbox has an issue with kind of like a lower end LPL team where they always fight even if they're down. Like they play every game like they are in the lead. And that is either really good, like against APK, they slaughtered APK. Or it's very bad, like they did against Kingzone, and they got themselves into a very close series at the end, but that was mostly because Kingzone kind of threw. It didn't do much with their lead, and they had Elise, Renekton, and someone else. I can't even remember. They had like 3 champions that really fall off at the end, and they didn't do much with it. They still eventually did win. They pulled a great team fight off because of the thresh hook from the grave. He killed as he died. He hooked Misfortune and got the kill, or just got it to go. So that worked out. But yeah, we have the top KDAs are Dove, Ruler, Pyosic. Pyosic actually had a pretty. I was gonna flame him honestly. Like he was gonna be my like boomer of the week after like his first game, I believe. Let's open up. Let's go a little more detail here. Yeah, his first game on Gragas, he was 0-5, and I was like, oh my god, against the KT roster of all teams. Like KT roster, we know they're not gonna be too great. So he's 0-5, the main source of why Dragon X lost to them in game number 1. But after that, he went 3-0-13, 6-0-6, 2-1-2, 4-0-7, and 8-0-9. He destroyed the competition after that. It was very impressive to see. I was very excited to see that kind of quick... Because you know how they say, like, first impressions are really important? That is very true. Especially in, like, League as well. Like, if my first impression of you is you going 0-5 and losing for your team, I'm like, oh boy, like, I'm going to look at you in a negative light for a very long time. And, no, he changed that immediately, which is so rare. Like, even if you do average, I'm going to look at, like, you could have done better type thing. I would have been more critical. So seeing him go immediately with a 3-0-13 and 6-0-6 to end that series against KT, I was like, okay, that's pretty nice. That's pretty nice. And then he went 2-1-2 on the Rek'Sai and the defeat against Sandbox. That was fine. The whole series between Sandbox and Dragon X was really close. Yeah, the final one was 46-minute game where it went 8-0-9 on the Elise. And he played Conqueror Elise, which I love to see that. I love to see fresh experimentation on runes and champions and all that kind of stuff. Anything to spice up the meta, or you like even just little changes like that, get me excited. When you watch a lot of League of Legends, you just want something new. Let's go back to this page. This page, I feel like this page is going to be a big part of the solo podcast until we get unless Ryan or Idol are here too, so I can go back and forth on certain topics. But since it's kind of hard to go, if I go hey, is T1 legit? I think so. I think they're decent. I don't think they're... Actually, I think I kind of have them where I thought they were. But, I still think this team can easily miss playoffs unless they get it together. That top in jungle was atrocious in all 3 games. And, talk about KT Rollster's jungle in a second. I'm Bono, it wasn't Malrang, which we were talking about. It was Bono. And then Bono got benched for Malrang. And when I was just in there, when you get benched for Malrang, you're not having a good time. Oh, man. It's not great. Not great. So, yeah. So, we'll talk a lot about this page because this page is phenomenal for stuff. The most kills was Haru, and Haru with 11 kills is the most kills. If you didn't watch this game, let's pull this up real quick. We'll actually pull this game up. This was SKT versus Hama Life. We will go over a match history here. So, because, yeah, we're just trying something brand new. And, we'll see if it works. I kind of like it a little more. I think it makes it a little less droll, or it doesn't drag on as much, because I feel like match history sometimes can really drag on, especially in regions like LCK and LPL, where we can have up to 30 games that week, or something like that. That's a lot of games, and it's tough on me with a job. If this was my full-time job, I would love it because I could take copious notes about each game and go into detail about each and every game. I'm listening to it at work, so I really can't take as heavy notes. So sometimes it probably sounds like you've probably heard this before. I've watched the game, but I don't remember exactly what happened in the game because I watched 30 games of LCK, 30 games of LPL, 10 games at NA, 10 games at LCK, bunch of Brazil, like Turkey, not to make excuses, but you tend to forget some games when you have like 100 games to watch. You can't remember them all. But yeah, this game, I remember this game. This game was a war crime. And it makes me really, really, really want to, you guys know I love my Yumi experiments. This game makes me really want to experiment with, by the way, let me just pull this up here, with, Soraka bot and Yumi support with an Olaf. I feel like that might be an oppressive bot lane. We'd have to test it out. Well, I have no idea because Soraka's getting nerfed pretty hard to her wave clear, so we probably won't be able to do that for long. That's next patch. But I always wanted to just see it because Yumi could heal me and then I can heal, or I could just poke out constantly without having to worry about my HP. And then if Yumi goes out and pokes and then gets her, I can just heal her. And then you do what Hama Life did, and then you just put Yumi on Olaf, Soraka behind Olaf. You fully heal Olaf because he will not die, including Olaf's built-in lifesteal. He can't be CC'd. You put the Righteous Glory on him, so he zooms really fast with the zoomies, and then you put the Yumi ult, so you just absolutely are going to CC any one you choose, and then you fully heal him with the zoomies as well, and then you have Soraka right there fully healing with the ult and the W, and then if the fight goes on long enough that Soraka starts getting hurt, Yumi goes over to Soraka, heals her once, and then jumps right back to Olaf, and then Soraka's fully healed, and then she can go kill Olaf as well. It was disgusting. It was absolutely disgusting to watch. I love it. I absolutely love Yumi. I think that... Oh, I guess we're done. Oh, no. Are you coming in? You just wanted to say hi? Okay. I'm going to close the door. Oh, no, now she wants in. She's just standing out there, just waiting. But, yeah, anything to do with Yumi, I really love. Like, Yumi is I don't play Yumi. I actually hate to play Yumi. I've played it one time and I'm like, oh, this is a champion I never want to play ever again. But outside of that, I just really, really, really like the concept of putting basically a second champion on someone and making them work out, if that makes sense. Like there are some champions that are kind of useless. Like Udyr, for example, is a pretty useless champion. Oh, Jesus Christ. CLG! No! Sorry to interrupt, but CLG just got complete... Oh, they just got completely backdoored. Oh, no. Poor CLG. I just had to type the Ryan there. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to interrupt that. It's mostly because I like to make fun of CLG and CLG's doing podcast. Alright. Kind of a chaotic podcast today. Because my dog is just completely having a fit and not opening doors and closing doors. Or wanting doors open and closing and then not going through them. But I've had this happen multiple times. Moving on. Poor freaking CLG. Alright, let's talk about Aphelios. Aphelios in the LCK is a 24-pick, 2-ban champion. 24 picks, 2 bans. Not bannable. Like, it's not as broken as Akali, apparently, because Akali is a 0-pick, 26-ban champion. And like, you have Lucian at the 17 bans, 2 picks. Set even 15 bans in 11. Like, you have a lot more banned champions. It was like almost just like everyone wants to give Aphelios away. Like, they're okay with giving it away to the first pick. But it's pretty good. 16 wins, 8 losses, 67% win rate. Very solid win rate. We'll talk about Senna's win rate in NA. Shake it off, shake it off. Gonna be talking about Team Liquid a lot with that. But Aphelios' win rate, it looks like... Let's actually talk Senna. Senna was picked... Oh, God. I didn't think those would have a bunch of zeros in it. Senna was picked one time, and she lost in LCK. Senna, actually, in the first week of LPL, was also not picked very much at all. It was mostly Aphelios and Misfortune almost every single game, because of Misfortune kind of counters Aphelios with the Nautilus or Leona paired alongside her, because you can just instant pop him and then pop him with the ult. Like, you can instantly stun him because he doesn't have a lot of movement, and then even if you don't stun him, you can hit the slow with the Misfortune E, and then you ult, and he has to flash out because, again, he has no dashes or anything, so walking out is kind of slow. So even if you don't have a CC, the slow on the E alone is pretty good enough to at least do half his health with the Misfortune ult. So that's what we're seeing around the other leagues. LCS, which we'll talk about tomorrow, is doing a lot of Senna. Same with LEs. So we're seeing a difference between Eastern and Western teams. And I actually don't like the Senna as much. I think it's very boring, and I don't think it's very good for aggressive style of league, which I love. But Aphelios itself, very good. We saw some absolute monster pop-offs in this. I wouldn't say it was the biggest pop-off, though, because that would be Mystic Ash. Mystic on Ash just absolutely crushed people. We're also seeing a lot less Tom Kenches, only pick 2 picked. I think that's very good to see. I think anything to go very aggressive in bot lane right now is pretty strong, in my opinion, because it lets you control a lot of the map early. You don't necessarily need to take the early dragons. I actually prefer taking Rift Herald and Turret Plates instead. But if you have a stronger bot lane early, you might be like, oh, well, that makes you so you can go to do dragon. It actually makes it so you can rotate top a lot quicker and then take the Rift Herald and then get more plates off of that. And so even if you do give up the Drakes for it, having a very strong bot lane right now is super important. It's mid, bot, and jungle are super important, where top is kind of irrelevant again, which kind of sucks as someone who likes to play top lane, but like bot lane is almost just as important as jungle now, in my opinion, which I just had an argument with Brian about arguing the exact opposite, but that was just more getting salty about Team Liquid. But yeah, bot lane and jungle is very important. Like the whole bottom side of the map is super important right now. To have a quick early lead so you can rotate and take, because there's so many objectives to take right now, like dragon, Rift Herald, dragon, another Rift Herald, turret plates, another dragon, like Baron, the dragon soul to fight for. There's so many things that team fighting team is very important, and there's having your ADC. ADCs are super important in a team fight. They're just such consistent damage. All right. Let's talk about set real quick. Hang on, before we talk about set, let's actually go back to we'll talk about set after this, but if let's see, top farmer, ruler, 11 CS a minute. It's amazing that 11 CS a minute is becoming the norm when 10 CS a minute was essentially perfect CS. The fact that the average is actually rising from perfect CS is kind of crazy. Genji and Afrikas had the best win rate at 4-1 apiece. Genji actually had the lowest game duration. That was very impressed by them. Not true. APK had the lowest game duration, but for the wrong reasons. But let's see. Yeah, I think that's about it. We'll talk about that. Let's talk set real quick. Looks pretty decent in LCK. Like, he, to me, is not a strong champion because you just walk away. You just walk away from him. But if he gets fed early, or if you don't shut him down, I should say, man, he becomes a menace in those team fights. Like, he has a solid... He did go 4-7. Now looking at that win rate at 36%. But we had a few games on him where he really popped off, I felt like. Let's see. Where are the games? Okay, this is the one I'm remembering here. The Cuvée on him against team against T1. That was really good. 7-0-9, and then it looks like he does pretty good in the Mordekaiser for the most part. He did beat Kale, which is kind of an interesting counter to him that I don't necessarily agree with. I get it that it's pretty good for late game because Kale is a much better late game scaler than him, but I don't agree with giving Set a free lane, if that makes sense. He's very easy to bully in lane, so you should always be bullying him in lane. Like, if he gets out, he's almost like a tank. In my perspective, is like tanks are okay in laning phase. They're not amazing. They do a decent chunk of damage because they have high base stats, but they don't have a lot of scaling. And so like Cho'Gath, for example, is pretty decent in lane. But then if you don't punish him, there are clear weaknesses to him in lane where he can, like, if he's too far extended, he can't get away. He's too big to dodge skill shots for the most part. So you can, but it's very difficult to dodge skill shots on Cho'Gath. And so you can really camp him with your jungler, and he just passively pushes the wave because all of his abilities are AoE. So he's always going to push the wave, so he can always catch him out. If you don't punish that, and you kind of just let Cho'Gath freefarm, and like get free, the most BM thing to me is when a Cho'Gath, like myself, can do like can eat with a Q. Whoa, can eat with a Q and or not well Q an R can eat with an R and then just a minion. Like you don't even have to worry about other like worrying about the interactions with anything like that. You don't have to worry about getting ganked. You don't have to worry about attacking champions. Like if you're just eating minions constantly, you are BMing your laner, saying like, I'm gonna play for late game. You're not gonna have to deal with late game, like, or you're gonna have to deal with a late game Cho'Gath. You're not gonna be nearly as good as me. So that's what I see. That's kind of how I see Set as well. I think Set is very similar to that, where you just punch a lot in lane, but you just don't have to worry about it as much. Like, it's not too bad. And then once you get the late game, those suplexes, a good suplex into the E, oh, that's very strong. All right. Let's move on to I think that's enough for today's topics. I didn't have too much prepared for solo ones. It's like I said, it's a little harder to do that solo, but I think it'll be a lot more interesting when we get to the group podcasts like LCS. But let's move on to those are the standings, the LCK standings, as we talked about earlier. That's fine. Our power rankings are Africa up to number 1. I think they are looking super clean right now. I think that Keen with Mystic. Oh my god, Mystic's 2v5 on Ashe. Like, holy crap, man. That was godlike. Like, he just let's see if we can find that. I should have done that for play of the week. Mystic 2v5 Ashe. All right, here. Yeah, we're going to get this clip here. 1 second. Okay, play of the week. Here we go. And then play. Look at this. This was after a lost team fight. Oh my god. It was so clean. LS was like, we'll watch it one time without the sound, but like right here, let's break it down a little bit. Right here this is a completely lost team fight. Jarvan just died. Rumble's dead. Rumble support, by the way. Keen died immediately at the beginning of this fight. This fight didn't even like he went in to engage this fight and just died like right before anyone was ready on Afrika. And then so this game was looking really bad because now Griffin, who are down 2k gold at this point after this team fight, so they were down like 4k goldish before this team fight. They are looking at they're only 1k down. So yeah, they're probably down 4k. They're looking at getting an Infernal so they don't lose the soul to Afrika, which I believe this was an okay situation to take the soul, because Afrika was probably winning, but they weren't winning by that large of a margin. And yeah, and Baron was not up, but they could delay the soul, delay the game a little further, get Ornn, get Aphelios' more items and stuff like that. But so like here, we're gonna break this down right here. Instantly death ray by Fly to just kill off the Ornn, the Yukao on the Ornn. That was fine. Yukao was about to die anyway. Then right here, if you look at Aphelios for Viper, he's really the one. Viper had a good week, actually. He had a really good week, actually, if you look at the stats. He really messes up this team fight. Right here, you have Sword being attacked by Fly. This is where you pretty much probably have to go back in if you're Griffin. Right there, you get Sword out, and there. Okay, let me clarify. You don't go back in. You retreat there because you were kind of happier. But once Irove hits this hook on Mystic, everyone, as you see Tarzan, Sword, and Irove just instantly go up on it. Irove does not follow the hook. He instead of following the hook, he goes for a flay here because he just didn't assume the QSS or something. He misread that QSS. Sword immediately hits the E on Ashe there, and then Tarzan goes in and immediately follows that up. By doing that, though, he did die, but Tarzan was too far away. That's what I want to point out. Is right here, they're all running away, and then Tarzan is like way over here, where he needs to be more kind of because you got to have communication. Maybe this is just a miscommunication by Iroh not saying, "Oh, I got Ash. Like I'm going back in on Ash." Viper actually is just still walking away until right there. He does turn around right as it, but he's too far away. His front line goes in. They get killed by Ash, and now he's in panic because they're like, "Oh God, we got to get this done." I'm gonna go try and kill Fly. He does that successfully, but Fly was not the issue. Mystic was the issue. If you look here, Fly is at essentially full HP, and Mystic is right there. I feel like if you just go up to Mystic right here instead of Fly, you probably get the kill instantly, and then you're able to kill Fly as well without dying and then without giving up the Infernal Soul. So I think that was a poor misplay by Viper, personally, and it made the Mystic pop-off like insane. But that's all pop-ups have to have a mistake on it, or else they're never going to be a pop-off. Alright, let's go back to our power rankings. Afrika, number 1. I love having Mystic on this lineup. Oh, man. It just makes me so excited because he's just so aggressive and he does that. He does stuff like that. It's like he's so exciting to watch with the real team. He's been on Team WE for so long and just carrying that like corpse of a team, putting a team around him. I'm so excited to see what they can do. Gen G is number 2. I think the Gen G, I had them originally number 3. They played just as great as well. They actually had the lowest game times, just like we mentioned, except for APK for the wrong reasons. And so Gen G is the one I want to see there. Dragon X is the next one where I've moved them up to number 3 as well. I think that each one, Afrika, Gen G, and Dragon X, all moved up one spot instead of having Damwon at number 1. I thought Damwon looked really sloppy this week, at least against T1. They did look a lot better against APK, and they kind of styled on APK, but I can't give you too much credit for that because APK looks god-awful. Like, they literally look like the next Jin Air. So at the moment, until I see any improvement from APK, I am not going to reward you much for styling on them. It's been a hell of a weird podcast. Oh man, it's my fault. Sandbox stayed the same. Sandbox did beat APK. That didn't affect anything, but they were really, really close against Dragon X. Like that game was so back and forth. Again, I was really rooting for Dragon X over there, but I was supposed to be rooting for Sandbox, and I'm like, oh, okay, never mind. But yeah, Sandbox, they're good, but they have the issue. They have the issue like we talked about earlier. They always play aggressive, which I love. I know I'm guilty. I love it. I love it. I love it. But there are times where they play like they're 5K ahead when they're 5K down, and it looks bad. It looks really bad. So I can't flame them too much because I want to see teams try and take risks like go in. But it's not as much as them taking risks, if that makes sense, or it's more them acting like they can win this team fight out of nowhere, like a 5v5, not trying for a pick or anything. Oh, hang on. I didn't even realize I was in this. Do you want to join the LCK podcast? Nope. See, I'll disconnect. The whole podcast is crazy right now. But yeah. Just a complete mess today. That's typical for me. We'll be better tomorrow, I promise. Hamo Life, number 6. Hamo Life actually looked really, really strong. I thought that they performed really well against T1, and they beat them. And then, honestly, they performed decently against Afrika as well. This was that team that we were like kind of thinking about. Did we have them at 9th or 8th? I don't remember. We flip-flopped them. I think I had them at 8th and KT at 9, I don't remember. I flip-flopped it. They flip-flopped at some point, and I don't remember which one it was that we landed on. But Hamo Life, they solid. Haru, Kuve, Tempt, and Vista and all that, like Lahans, like they are really working out together. Hey Ryan, by the way, Ryan mentioned that he'd almost put Sandbox above Damwon from what I saw, but this is basically what I think too. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Ryan, you completely missed the insanity of this podcast initially. I've had so many bad things happen in this podcast, like from just having our Discord open to having like random weird ads show up, like, or I don't know if it was a weird ad or not, but yeah, I've just had random weird ads on the thing because I don't have ad blocker like a weirdo. Like, it's been a mess. It's been quite a mess. Oh, man. T1, I kept them at even at 7. I think their win against Damwon was pretty good. Like, but it wasn't clean, you know? It was not a clean win, which is kind of what puts it down a little bit for me. I think that usually beating the team that have number 1, I would move them up way much, but it was sloppy. It was quite sloppy. So I was like, maybe Damwon is just a little bit of a mess right now. So I was like, okay, let me see T1 against Hama Life. That's kind of how I was thinking. If they beat Hama Life, I'll move them up quite a bit. And then they lost. And then they lost to Hama Life. And I'm like, okay. Does this say more about Damwon, or does it say more about T1, or does it say about Hama Life? We don't really know, as it's only been 1 week, so everything's overreact. This was after week 1 in LCS. I had TSM 7th, and I believe Ryan and Brian had them 9th and 10th. Now I would consider them top 2. Like, things are a little crazy in the LCS right now, and it's really tough to overreact on one thing. Like Ryan just said, in very unnice terms, T1 versus Damwon was a fucking mess. And anyone giving NA shit for their macro needs to watch this series. Yeah, this was a very bad series. You need to watch this. If you don't think Korea can play bad, you can watch this series. It was not good. Griffin drops down to number 8. I think that's fair. They lost both their games. I'm not going to drop them below KT or APK, because APK looked god-awful. KT started out real strong with their first one against Gen G, and then they actually took a game against Dragon X as well. Maybe, we're going to do another audible. KT is getting audibled from 9th to 8th. Oh, man. That's unfortunate for KT. I can never decide if they're the 9th best team, or the 2nd worst team, or the 3rd worst team in Korea. But yeah, we're going to move them up to 8. Yeah, KT at least took 2 games. Griffin did not take... Let me move that back. Griffin only took... no, Griffin didn't win a single game. They lost 2-0 to Afrika and 2-0 to Gen G. Granted, in Griffin's... and honestly, for Griffin, they had to face the number 1, number 2 team. That's very hard. But KT had to face the number 2, number 3 team. So it's not like they had the much easier schedule themselves. And they had 2 wins out of it. So yeah. Whew, good job, KT. I think that actually turns their down arrow actually turns into a yellow bar for no change. Good job. I'm not going to change it on the podcast because I don't feel like doing all that work there for that. But just imagine that's a yellow bar now. All right. Our big award for this week was Kingzone's Deft. He had a KDA of 8.3, kill participation of 75.1%, damage percentage of 30.4%. Are they Kingzone? They're just Dragon X now, actually, right? I think so. I'm unsure. They've changed names so many times. Longsu, to Kingzone, to Kingzone Dragons, like to Kingzone Dragon, or to just Dragon X now, I think. They got... Oh, man. But yeah. Oh my god, Dragon X. I did it again. I did it last week as well. This is supposed to be Deft, not here, not Dragon X. Not Dragon X, Dragon X. My favorite ADC. Screw you, Ryan. I did it back-to-back times. Oh my god. There. Happy. Deft. 30.4 damage percentage. His DPM was actually kind of low at 546, but the rest of it, 75.1% KPA, and our kill participation named 8.3 KDA, pretty solid numbers. Actually, funny enough, Viper almost had some of the best stats this week, and including like a 40% damage percentage. I just couldn't give it to a guy who went 0-4 though, you know? I just felt wrong about that. Yeah, it was Longshu Gaming, then Kingzone Dragon X, and now Dragon X. In like 3 splits, they've changed the name. It's been kind of crazy. Alright. Boomer Award is APK. No, it's Ixua? I don't know how to pronounce his name personally. Ixua? I believe he was he's the top laner on APK. He had a 0.7 KDA, 44 kill participation, 27.1 damage percentage, and a 4.2, 3.8 DPM, and he had some god awful games. I feel kind of bad giving it to just one person of APK. Iksu. Look at that. That makes sense. So, there's no A in there. I don't know where I was putting the in. Iksu makes a lot more sense. Thank you, Ryan, my personal translator for everything. But yeah, he did not have a good week. I almost should just put here. Let's just fix this. The Boomer Award just goes to APK Prince. We are looking at Gen Air 2.0 right here. And I am not looking forward to it. If they make me wish that Jin Air is a team in the LCK again, I am going to cry. Just give me some good games. But so far, maybe they'll recover, but it does not look like it whatsoever. They got beat bad, like all 4 games. They were just completely outclassed. All right. With that, let's go to this week's predictions. As I let my dog in for the 4th time, because she's a psychopath. Alright, game number 1. Can you guess what my pick is for game number 1? It's the number 1 team that I have in Korea versus the number 10 team in Korea, and one of the worst teams that I've seen so far this split. It's Afrika. I'm going with the big upset, actually. We're going with APK. No, it's going to be Afrika here. I don't see... Ikso, if he had a bad week this week, he's got to face Keen in game number 1. That's not what you want to do. That's not what you want to do at all. Game number 2, Griffin versus Sandbox. I think Sandbox will be okay in this game because, like I said, Sandbox, if they get ahead early, they are totally fine. If they fall behind, they're going to lose the game. I don't see them falling behind this Griffin team. This Griffin team's kind of very slow, in my opinion. With Sword up top. Like, Summit is just going to destroy Sword. That's the big issue here. Exactly what Ryan just said in a similar fashion. Hey man, he gets a breather versus Sword later on. Exactly my point for this Sandbox versus Griffin game. Yeah, Sandbox all the way. Sandbox. Summit is going to absolutely slaughter Sword. Sword might as well not even show up. T1 versus KT Roster. Can KT Roster actually beat T1? It's possible. Like, this game, I really believe is going to be much closer. I don't know where to put T1 right now. We currently have them 7th. Are they 7th? I don't know. The top lane in the jungle for T1 was god awful. This was one of the worst performances from Roach and I'm totally blanking on the jungle's name. Cuz, thank you. I was like, I need to know this. I can't remember it. But Roach and Cuz looked very, very bad. Roach was actually benched for Kana. And I don't really know who Kana is. Kana's their substitute top laner. And he got benched already in week 1. If your top laner that's replacing Khan is benched in week 1, there's a big problem. There's a very big problem with this lineup so far. And then KT, they went 0-2, but they at least won 2 games. They have Sohan up top, was who they were using a lot, but they have Bono and Malrong as their junglers, and it is not a pretty jungle. So it's going to be Cuz versus Bono or Malrong. Oh boy. If you want to see a great jungle matchup, you might not want to watch this game. I'm gonna go T1 just because even though Cuz and Roach had a terrible start, I think Cuz going against Bono or Malrong is going to be it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough to look bad against them. So we're gonna go T1. Humble Life versus Dragon X. Humble Life had a surprising showing. Taking a game off of Afrika, did not win the series, but then beating T1 as well. So I actually think that there's a lot of upside with this team. However, I don't know if they'll beat Dragon X. I think that Piosik is just, he looked so good after the first game. Those first game nerves, they didn't look good at all. But he shook them off right away. And then you have Deft and Kira on the bot lane are just dominating. And I really don't know if Vista and Lehans will be able to handle that. So I'm going to go Dragon X there. Next we have Damwon versus Genji. This is probably, let's see. No, we got a Freaka versus Dragon X. I was going to say, this might be game of the week. Will Damwon recover from their very shaky start? Like, I mean, losing the T1 and dominating APK, but losing T1. It's possible with Nogri, Showmaker. They looked very sloppy. And you know who didn't look sloppy? Genji. Genji looked very good outside of their first loss, losing that first game. But outside of that to KT, they looked really good from that point on. And they 2-0'd KT after that, or they 2-1. They reverse swept KT. It's not a best of 5, so it's not really. It's a reverse sweep, but it's not really. And then they just beat Griffin 2-0. I just think Genji is a powerhouse right now, and I would not pick against them against pretty much any team except maybe a Freako. Yeah, exactly what Ryan just said. If Damwon plays to expectations, good match. If they play like they did versus T1, Genji smashes. Yep. And I'm going with the safety bet that it's going to be a good match. That doesn't mean Genji loses. Even if Damwon plays to expectations, that doesn't mean Genji loses. So I'm going Genji. Also, he did say earlier that I forgot to mention Teddy and 4 wards, which is sad when Faker is one of those wards. Yeah, Faker didn't play too great this week. He played okay. I wouldn't classify him as a ward yet, but like Effort, Cuz, and Roach, yeah, those were wards. Teddy played great though. Poor Teddy. He's getting flashbacks. He's getting some PTSD from his Jin era days. Griffin versus APK, even though Griffin's 0-2, and I have him actually being 0-3, including a 2-0 probably from Sandbox. So they'll be 0-6 in games. I absolutely believe that APK will also be 0-6 in games. So this game will be quite a bit of a snoozer on that side. But I do think Griffin, even though they're both going to be 0-6, are going to be much better than APK is. Next, we have Afrika versus Dragon X. Afrika versus Dragon X is going to be a hell of a game. I'm super excited for this game. You got Deft versus freaking Mystic in this game. Ryan just said Teddy and Knight need to meet and share a boba or something. They need to form their own team. They need to form a super team. Teddy, Knight, and then just at least they have. I guess they have Carson now on top, but like. That's really funny. Who's other players that have never had good? They need to form a super team of all the players that have never had a good team. But yeah, Dragon X versus Freaka. We have Def versus Mystic, the best ADC in the league versus the up-and-coming ADC. I shouldn't say up-and-coming because Mystic's pretty old, but up-and-coming in Korea, Mystic, as former LPL superstar, Mystic comes in. Will he take the title from Deft as the best ADC? I actually think he will. Even though I love Deft and he was my player of the week, I love the absolute explosiveness right now out of Dragon X. And I'm unsure. Doran didn't play every game, but I don't know if he will play against Keen. That was weird, by the way, right? Excuse me. Chovy playing top? I didn't talk about that earlier. Chovy played top a few times this week. That's kind of weird to me. I guess maybe he's the only set player on the team, but yeah, I think having Doran back will be better against Keen. But I think Keen, I do think that Mystic and Jelly will go even against Deft and Kira. But I'm expecting Keen to pop off in this series. Before this year, we could have included Keen. Yeah. Let's screw it. Let's include Keen. Like, he's only played 2 games with this. We need to make the super team here. Keen, Knight, Teddy. We just need a support and a jungler now. Oh man. Home of Life versus Sandbox. I had a tough time picking this game. This game was actually one of my toughest. But at the end of the day, I gotta say, I went Home of Life. And that is the reason being is I think Kuve can handle Summit up top. I really think he can. And Summit, as we saw in one of the games against King's Own Dragon X, or just Dragon X, he goes in even if he's down a lot, and he got caught a lot. And I really think that Kuve will be able to handle him enough that Summit won't be necessarily behind, but I think that he won't be as far ahead as his aggressive playstyle kind of forces. Plus, I really like Haru versus On Fleek. On Fleek had an okay week. I don't think he had a fantastic week. As well as Gorilla and Leo versus Lahens and Vista. I actually think Calm Life can win this game. It all depends on how quickly they get ahead of Sandbox. If they fall behind early, Sandbox is just going to wipe them. There's no coming back against this team. But if they're able to start some early leads, especially through Haro and Kuve, I really see this team actually toppling Sandbox here. Next, Damwon versus KT. I actually do have Damwon winning this one just fine. I think KT's on the struggle bus this year. When you have Bono and Malrang, man, you can't convince me that you're going to win many games when one of the most important roles in the entire game of jungle, and you're running the 10th and the 11th best jungler out there in the LCK. You know what I mean? Like, come on. The only reason Bono isn't benched is because Malrang is worse than him. And he was benched for one game. Like, oh man, it is awful. It is an awful lineup. It's not an awful lineup. It's an awful position for them. Where I think the rest of the lineup is okay and decent enough with Kuro, Aiming, Tucson, and Ray, or in Soan. Like, that's not a bad lineup whatsoever. That's a possible playoff lineup if they just got a jungler. Who's a free agent jungler that they can pick up? They need him. Finally, last game before we wrap up, Gen G versus SKT. Even though T1 performed admirably against Damwon and beat them, and then performed okay against Hama Life and lost, I really think that Gen G is just all that, and they're not going to... Teddy and his 4 wards, as Ryan put it earlier, is not going to be able to handle Ruler and Kellen. Ruler and Kellen in bot lane, oof, they are clean. And I just don't think there is no room for Teddy to get ahead in a lane against Ruler and Kellen. And so the rest of the team for Gen G, especially Clid. Clid is so clean, and he's going in for a revenge game against SKT for just his former team. And he's just going to make Cuz look so bad up top, in my opinion. But yeah, that is this week's predictions. Ryan just said Malrang is about the style on Cannon. You know what? Team Liquid lost the Golden Guardians. CLG almost won, but then they didn't. Like, reality was restored when CLG was about to win, and then they just completely blew it. I'm like, okay, there we go. Everything's okay in the world again. But no. If you don't play League, Ryan, but I will Venmo you $10 if Malrang comes in and just obliterates the reigning MVP of the LCK in Canyon. I will give me your Venmo or PayPal or something. I'll give you $10. I'm not even gonna win anything. Like, I don't even want anything after. I will not believe that will ever happen. You're the biggest Malrang fan for this week. You might not even play. They might even play Bono instead. You're going to have to contact KT to make sure they get Malrang in. You got a lot of money on the line. But okay, with that, I think we're going to wrap up this week's podcast. I think that this week for LCK was a train wreck. I apologize for that. Everything went wrong that could have gone wrong, which is not a good way to start with your new concept. But that's how most new concepts start. Which is okay. I promise, it'll be much, much better, much more concise tomorrow when we have Ryan for sure, I believe, and possibly Brian, and it'll look a little bit better tomorrow. Ryan, before we get off, Ryan just said that now we live in a world where TL is at the bottom of the standings and the French MIT is tied for second. I've always told you I'm an Immortals fan for life. That's why I'm not wearing my Team Liquid hat. I've always been an Immortals fan. The whole... No, I'm actually really excited for this morning. We'll talk about that tomorrow. I'm actually very excited again. I'm buying back in. They don't have any personality for me to like, but I'm buying into the team a little bit. Like, hey, that's that old crush, you know? You're like, oh, I missed you. All right. You have words? Yeah, save them for the podcast tomorrow, right? All right. We'll see you guys tomorrow for the LCS podcast. It's going to be a spicy one. Let me just tell you that. There are going to be a lot of words for this podcast coming in. So we're going to have a lot of topics to talk about in today's topics conversation. All right. Thank you guys for watching. I'm sorry it was a mess today. If you made it this far, I'm super impressed. And see you tomorrow. Good night.